Hey everybody, this is Fox and welcome back to more Gladius. So, this time, in our continuing quest to do every faction, we're going to do the Tyranids today. I am shifting some things up. You might not have heard this new microphone before, and also not going to read out the lore or these effects. We'll get to them when we actually are in game. The Tyranids are the most alien race to infest Imperial space, for they come from beyond. Their hive fleets stretch out like tendrils, great chitinous bioships drifting in brooding silence. Once the remorseless shoal of the bioships detects the presence of a prey world, they close upon their target, grasping it like some many-tentacled beast seizing its food. In the ensuing invasion, the world will be consumed, for the Tyranids hunger for all living matter. There was no escape from this final embrace, and when the Tyranids finally depart, they leave behind a barren world, a scorched ball of rock now devoid of anything that lives. A Tyranid hive fleet consists of millions of living starcraft, each home to untold number of monstrosities evolved from the geno-organisms of the ship's reproductive chambers. All these creatures serve the entity that is the ship, and the ship exists only as part of the horrific superorganism that is the fleet. Even when dead, organic material is reconstituted back into the ship, along with the captured biomass from the invaded planet. It is then all dissolved into a rich biological gruel used to make new Tyranid creatures, each ready to serve the hive mind and begin the feeding process anew. But on Gladius, the Tyranids are few and scattered, brought here by meddling men. The warp storms keep them distant from the will of the hive mind, and the Imperium citizens think of them as mere pests. They should worry more. Indeed, they should if we get our way. But before we go into the actual thing, I also want to point out that we're doing another thing differently, which is that we are actually going on quests now. I figured that this is about the time. I figured this will be an easy way to keep things interesting. We're also going to be on a huge world, hard difficulty. And so yeah, let's get into this.
In its isolation, Gladius Prime was an ideal research location. Here, the Adeptus Mechanicus Majus Biologus analyzed one of the greatest threats to the Imperium: the Tyranids. The defeat of Hive Fleet Kraken at Fagundia showed that science could defeat the horrors. The colony, Guard Outpost, and Space Marine Chapter were unwitting insurance. Defenses, in case the Tyranids ever escaped. When the day came, they weren't enough. Nothing was enough.
I feel like they recorded the voice lines and then they realized, oh wait, we're like a minute too short, because it seems like there's a lot of padding on the beginning and end of that. But anyway, so let's get into the Tyranids. So, you start out with Termagants. 10 of these little guys with their flesh borers. They are not particularly great, but they will do for now. Mostly because we don't have a choice. So you might notice that the Tyranids only have a grand total of 3 resources, counting research. So they only have biomass, which is used to build everything from from heavy creatures to light creatures to buildings. And then they have influence, which is what they use to upkeep their buildings. So the Tyranid economy is very one pillar. Like, you can't. If it's not doing good, it's not doing good, and there's not a whole lot you can do to prop it up. It's not propping itself up at all. So first thing we want to do is get an Alva the Hero building. Not just because that's going to be what the quest is going to ask us in a minute, but also because Tyranids have a special, all have a special ability, or most of them do. They have instinctive behavior. So basically, when a Tyranid that is not a Synapse creature is next to a Synapse creature, it has perfect will. When it's not, it has continually degrading will. So here, and then here's our actual quests. With the Astra Militarum as high tech as tech priest liaison to investigate the Circa Vernarca facility on Gladius Prime, that is, successful experiments which have resulted in the victory at Fecundia. When the storm stabilized, the planet was cut off. Fearing the worst, I made my way to the generator facility, but I found an empty ruin, with no trace of the servitors or tech priests. I returned empty-handed to the surviving Imperial forces. Soon, reports came in. Monsters. Horrors. Tyranids. Yet the creatures were not a coordinated swarm. They were isolated, running wild, easy prey for the neophyte marines or veteran guardsmen. I dared hoped we could eliminate them quickly. That wish was short-lived. Knowing what I know now, the hive mind focused the creation on mighty synapse creatures, the warrior, tyrants, and primes. So yeah, this is trying to get us to get some synapse creatures, which we need. Like I was saying, your units aren't very good if they don't have any will, and they don't have any will without synapse creatures. The city does count as a synapse creature for that, but it's obviously immobile, and you have to be right next to it. So, to begin with, we're going to be doing a little bit of dancing, and it's not necessarily, dancing around our central area, and it's going to be kind of annoying. I would say that even more than the Imperial Guard, the Tyranids have one of the hardest starts in the game. They can definitely ramp up pretty heavily later on, but to start out with, they have problems. And if you don't properly set up your economy, you're going to continue to have problems, because like I said, you've only got the one resource. You don't have anything else. You can't just be like, like I was with the chaos. It's like, oh, well, my food is bad, so I can't make infantry, but I got plenty of ore, so let's just build vehicles. That's not an option. Also, another thing is that while the Tyranids spend influence in a couple ways. First of all, you can override instinctive behaviors. So basically, this gets rid of their synapse creature thing. They immediately go to they immediately fight as though they're at full will, which is good. And these things are shrouded, so they're taking more damage. So you can spend a little bit on that. The main things you're going to be spending your influence on are getting on building upkeep and getting heroes. Heroes are really important for the Tyranids. At least the way I play them. Are we going to lose a squad of... No? Good. Okay. So, of the heroes, like the Tyranid Prime that we start out with isn't that spectacular. It's good, especially in the early game where you can use it to get yourself a quick synapse creature, but later on it's just a beat stick, and the Tyranids have plenty of other options when it comes to beat sticks, and they're usually better. The other two, however, ooh boy, the other two are really good, and we will see, or at least I get a lot of use out of them, so we'll see that a little later. We will reduce the cost of reclamation, because another thing you can do is that you can take your units and you can basically chuck them in a gruel pool, and then they will contribute half of the production it took to create them back into whatever it is, whether it's a building or another unit. And that's pretty good. That can definitely help you get certain buildings up a lot faster than you would otherwise. But we're not going to be doing it right now because we still want all three of our squads to be able to explore and kill as much as we can. Alright, let's get everyone falling back. They have like no will left. You start healing. You can just guard. You also need to start healing. Alright. So now it takes a little bit less to do that, which is good. Alright, so now let's start building some more termagants. And let's get... I really want to do this. Like, this is not the best play. Well, we'll see. we'll see how well this goes. Like, I don't think this is not a terrible idea. Certainly not the way I play. Because another thing that you really need with Tyranids is you need to get access to the bottom end of the tree. Over here, there's some fairly decent stuff, but what you really want to be focusing on is the monstrous creatures, and most of those are a lot further along in the tech tree. So the first thing we're going to get is this. That's going to be the building that lets us build the Malanthrope, which is our... Malanthropes have two purposes. First is that they found cities, but then they can also, if a unit dies within 3 tiles of it, you get bonus resources. Or bonus research. That's actually, like, can be pretty good in the beginning game. It's like 8. So yeah, so like right now, that's pretty impressive. Later on, it's not going to matter much, but it's still very helpful, and it will be something I'm going to try and actively use them with, to start out with. Alright, how you doing? So you'll be ready next turn, so we'll just have you skip, and we'll have you turn off defense, and then all 3 of you... Excuse me, all 4 of you. And nothing to see here. What? Why can't I see? Oh, this is at the bottom of the map. No wonder. I need to pay attention to that. That's actually good, though. I wish we were a little closer to a corner, but this, with all this water, this will be good for later missions. I'm gonna keep building these guys. Oh, cultists. Oh, by the way, people who have actually been watching like this as a series might remember that I think it was during Chaos, but it might have been earlier. I talked a little bit about the Eldar and how I didn't think that they were going to be in the game. Yeah, guess what the next faction is? They're going to be in the next game, and they're probably going to be here pretty quick because their achievements are already in game. So that gives us a little hints about what's going to be there. Definitely looks like they'll be kind of interesting, but we'll wait till we actually get there. I will definitely... Ow. Damn it, I was really hoping like one guy would survive. Because one thing about reclaiming units is that the unit's health does not matter. It is always going to be whatever the production costs, regardless of how much... health they have left. So if you have a unit that's like on its last leg, you could just run it back to your cities, and then instead of healing it, you can just chuck it into the pool and then use that to create something else, even if it maybe just another version of it. All right, we're going to get that to start out with. Alright, these guys have made a... Excuse me a second. Thank goodness for being able to turn off this mic. Yeah, they made the mistake of actually trying to attack us next to our city. So, they're going to learn to regret that, or rather they won't, because they'll be dead. So the actual goal we have right now is to build the hero building and produce the Tyrant Prime. But you don't want to rush the quest lines, because some of them are going to put time limits on you, and others are going to be like, okay, here's a whole bunch of mid-tier units. Can you deal with mid-tier units right now? No, it's early game. Well, too bad. So you got to be a little bit careful with that. I'm trying to remember the exact order that the Tyranid quests come in. Because I know after we get this, I know what comes next, and we can definitely deal with that. Because it's not something... It's good. But I think after that... No, and then that... Okay, yeah, no, never mind. I remember the order. be vaguely facetious in case people haven't played through the storylines and don't want it spoiled. The intricate lore of, hey, guess what? The Tyranids are going to win. The Tyranids eat everything. Most of the storylines also that you might expect are told from the point of view of the faction, but as far as I know, there's exactly one game that has, or even story, that has ever had the Tyranids in first person, and that's the Tyranid story in Dawn of War 2. And how you feel about that is entirely up to you. But I kind of liked it. And it's kind of cool to just see how the Tyranids think, at least sometimes. Let's get... Let's get the ability... Yeah, we're going to do that. Well, no. I was going to say I probably should have fed my guys into this, but we'll do that in a second. We'll do that after... We'll do that to actually create the Malanthrope. Because I think I'm going to just... I'm going to just start producing those, and I think the first one I'm going to immediately go in and get another city. I think, like... What's my space filling? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. So then that's not bad. Yeah, that'll be pretty good. Tyranids also, their cities are a little bit different in that they can only research their first upgrade as far as city size, so they can only get up to a size of 2. But later on, you get a research that basically says that reduces the influence upkeep, or the loyalty penalty of having multiple cities. So that's so you can have more of them. Okay, so first let's get a Malanthrope. Then let's get that going. Does that give me any? No, it doesn't. Okay, so then after this, we're going to have to also get a influence-producing building. I think we're still going to go for more Termagants? No. Yes, we are making a... well, we will see. Also, yeah, I could send them in, but I want to make sure I get rid of these stupid these traitorous hybrids, because they should be traitors. You know, they're hybrids, so they're Tyranid hybrids. But they certainly don't seem to owe me any allegiance. Okay, let's get cohesion nodes. I suppose at this rate, I actually probably should have just also bought some warriors. Warriors are also synapse creatures. They're pretty good in the beginning game. They're nice and powerful. Oh, this could be really good. This could be a really good setup for me. Or it could be really bad, depending on what happens. We're just going to have you run in there and stand on the wireweed. We don't care enough about you. Do it. Shoot him. Alright, and then we'll explore over here. I would really actually... No, it looks like it does. It keeps going for a little bit, it looks like, because that looks like a cliff. But I don't know, because if that's another cliff, and so this is basically like... Now it's all water, like, that'd be pretty good for me. And just have everyone go in and explore. The Malanthropes, I don't know if I mentioned, are also synapse creatures, so you can also use them for that purpose. Alright, let's turn that off. for now. And then I think we're just going to have him guard just in case something decides to pop up over there. I mean, one Termagant unit isn't going to make much of a difference, but it'll at least distract them for the minute I might need to get everything back. All right, let's get... We want brood haunts. We want a lot of things. Really, let's get... I don't really care about gargoyles or hormagaunts. My strategy is, and always has been, focusing on big things, on the monstrous creatures. The later infantry can be pretty decent, but yeah, actually this isn't worth it because we're running completely out of will, which means they're all broken. So really, yeah, I think we need to wait. Alright, and then get us another one. And then we need... Any tiles over here give a bonus to... No. So a bonus to... Oh, yes, over here. We get some bonus to influence. Alright, so let's... 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. So right there. Right smack there. That's where we're going to put our first city, and it's going to be an influence-generating city. Or rather, I think I'm just going to make that be just entirely resource dependent, and that's something that I do a lot more with the Tyranids than I do with anyone else. Is building cities for no purpose other than to generate resources. I kind of want to get another one of these, but actually no, we're going to get a reclamation pool. No, we're not. We're going to go for the hero building. Terravagons. Terravagons are kind of cool. So, basically, you never want them in combat, but they can create Termagants once every 3 turns. Their ultimate reduces that so that for like 3 turns they can produce one every turn. They increase the health of the attack of all nearby Termagants, and the reason I really like them, they can heal target allied units. And then this is for 4, 8, and then 12 at its highest level. And that can be really good for healing, keeping your monstrous units just like, oh yeah, yep, I don't care. I'm just gonna be a big, giant, unkillable monstrosity. Which is exactly what the Tyranids want to be. So then I think we're going to build another one, like right down here. And that's going to be our monstrous unit producer. We should get... Or do I want brood haunts? Or even just birthing canals? Let's get Toxic Sac. Well, no, let's get Brood Haunt, because then we can get the Megafauna Sac, which helps us build buildings faster. But that will do it for this episode. So, thank you for watching. This has been Vox Insanity. If you're enjoying the series, please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps out a great deal. And we'll see you guys for the next episode.